Hello again, class 492, Li Tong, Li Tong, our Chinese friend who lives in Shanghai and works in a telephone factory and who's learning English. Li Tong has been taking English lessons for the past 4 months. At first, he thought he wasn't capable of learning even the simplest forms of the language. However, thanks to the help his daughter has given him, and thanks to a positive teacher change, thanks to a positive teacher change in the language school, Li's made excellent progress. Li has made. Hago la contracción. Li has. Pego la S de has al nombre Li. Li's made. I've made. You've made. Marta's made. She's made. He's made. Li has made. Li's made. Excellent progress. Every night, cada noche, ¿no? Every night, he and his daughter, otra vez la hija, every night, he and his daughter study the language for about 30 minutes. Marta, from the from the makeup. Every night, he and his daughter study. It's difficult to teach English with makeup. Every night, he and his daughter study the language for about 30 minutes. The new teacher that Li has in the language school speaks perfect Chinese. Toma. All right. So the new teacher that Li has in the language school, the new teacher that Li has in the language school speaks perfect Chinese. He's from Ireland. Irlandés, fluido en chino, okay. He's from Ireland, but he's been living in Shanghai since he was 14 years old. All right. His name is Pat Riley. Patricio. Patrick. Como el San Patricio, you know, the Irish, St. Patrick. Typical. His name is Pat Riley. And he's 24. Oh, he's 24. And he's been living in Shanghai since he was 14. Okay. So he's been living in Shanghai for 10 years. He speaks perfect Chinese. Okay. All right. His name is Pat Riley, and he's 24. Both of his parents are professors at the Shanghai University. Okay. So his parents are probably Irish too. Well, for sure. His parents are Irish, but they are university professors, and they are teaching at Shanghai University. Okay. And he's 24. Pat is 24. Both of his parents, ambos padres, both of his parents, both of my parents, both of your parents, both of my children are bilingual, Spanish-English. Both of his parents are professors. Profesor universitario se dice professor, doble S. A nivel secundario, primario, teacher, professor. Si alguien tiene un doctorado, es professor. All right. Both of his parents are professors at Shanghai University. During the past 3 weeks, durante estos últimos 3 semanas. During the past 3 weeks, o bien a lo largo de sus últimas 3 semanas. During or over, se dice probablemente más over. Over the past 3 weeks, Patricio, el irlandés, over the past 3 weeks, Pat has spoken to Li several times about what he should do to speed up the learning process. Yes. Yeah. The learning process, from point A to point B, learning English is very slow. Li is and Pat, over the past 3 weeks, Pat, the new professor, the new teacher, has spoken to Lee several times about how to speed up, acelerar. Speed is velocidad, speed. Ahora bien, el verbo to speed has a different meaning. To speed means ir por delante del límite de velocidad y te parará la policía. That's the speed. But to speed up is ir más rápido, acelerar. Acelera, macho. Speed up. No. Más despacio. Desacelera, ralentiza. Slow down. Speed up, slow down. Speed up, slow down. Speed up, slow down. Ahora, acelerar, aquí, el proceso de aprendizaje del inglés. To speed up. So, over the past, faster and faster. Over the past, ¿cuántos eran? 3 weeks, Pat, el profe, Pat has spoken to Lee several times about what he should do. ¿Qué es lo que debería hacer? What he should do to speed up. To speed up. What he should do to speed up. Acelera. The learning process. He gave Lee. ¿Le dio a Lee qué? ¿Qué es lo que le dio? He gave Lee an audio tape. Una cinta de audio. This is old, An audio tape. And told him to take it to work and leave it on all day while he was working in the factory. Yes. Yeah. You see Lee? He's in the factory. Yeah. He's wearing headphones and he's listening to English. Well, really, I think he's not listening to English. He's hearing English. Hearing English. Oyendo, no escuchando. Hearing, claro, in Spanish, you can say, estoy oyendo la radio, but it's incorrect Spanish, really. Estás escuchando la radio. Because in English, to listen is prestar atención auditiva. To hear is captar ruidos auditivamente. So, really, it's incorrect. In Spanish, say, oyentes de radio. Son escuchantes. Because oír is captar el sonido, pero no prestarle atención. Escuchar es sí prestarle atención. But in Spanish, you overlap, se solapan. They overlap, and people use, no te oigo, ¿me estás oyendo o no? In English, no. Are you hearing, are you listening to me? ¿Me estás escuchando? Are you listening to me? So, you should say, escuchantes. Sounds ugly. It doesn't, oyentes doesn't sound ugly. Escuchantes chocan. Escuchan, mis escuchantes. All right. Bueno, a wonderful lady in Televisión Española uses it on her radio show. Pepa Fernandez, she said, mis escuchantes. All right. And I agree with her. Even though it doesn't sound very pretty, it's the correct word, okay? But in this case, I think our good friend Lee Tong isn't listening to English. He's hearing it, which means he's paying attention to his job, and he's not listening. He's just allowing, permitiendo, he's allowing the language, the noise or music of the language to caress, acariciar, to caress his ears and open his ears to the phonetics and the sounds and the cadence of English. Eso lo veremos. Okay. Over the past 3 weeks, Pat Riley, the professor, has spoken to Lee several times about what he should do to speed up the learning process. He gave Lee an audio tape and told him, le dijo, to take it to work, llévalo al trabajo. Le dijo que lo llevase al lugar de trabajo. He told him to take it to work and leave it on, dejarlo encendido. Leave it on, mucha pila. Okay. To leave it on all day while he was working in the factory. Okay. Mientras trabajaba en la fábrica, ¿no? While he was working in the factory. While. Yeah. He told him to take the audio tape or the audio cassette to work and to leave it on all day while he was working in the factory. All right. He told him not to worry if he didn't understand what the people were saying in the tape. He said, Lee, if you don't understand what the people are saying, don't worry. Don't worry. Leave it on. Continue. Pay attention to your work. Leave it on. So he told him, fíjate, le dijo que no se preocupase. He told him not to worry, to be or not to be. That is the question. To worry or not to worry. El negativo del infinitivo. No preocuparse. Preocuparse is to worry. No preocuparse is not to worry. All right. So he told him not to worry. Le dijo que no se preocupara. He told him not to worry if he didn't understand what the people were saying in the tape. In fact, de hecho, he told him not to listen to it. Que no lo escuches. Óyelo. Cáptalo. All right. But to pay attention, he told him not, in fact, he told him not to listen to it, but to pay attention to his work. This is reported speech. Direct speech is Lee. If you don't understand what the people are saying in the tape, don't worry. In fact, don't listen to it. Focus on your work. Concentrate on your job. Okay? Don't pay attention to it. No le prestes atención. Don't pay attention to the people. And if you don't understand, no problem. Don't worry. All right. In fact, he told him not to listen to it. To listen to it or not to listen to it? That is the question. All right. To be or not to be. In fact, he told him not to listen to it. But, cara, le dijo que no lo escuchara, sino que prestar atención a su trabajo. El sino es but, como pero. He told him, in fact, he told him not to listen to it, but to pay attention to his work. Keeping the English sound within earshot. Curiosa expresión. Se dice bastante, within earshot. A disparo de oído, literalmente. Dentro de disparo de oído, literalmente. Within is dentro de. Ear, oído, shot is disparo. Earshot, una sola palabra. Within earshot means estaba suficientemente cerca que yo podía entender y captar lo que decían otros. Yo estaba a distancia perfecta o suficiente para oír. Si quieres escuchar una conversación ajena, it's impossible to hear other people's conversation if you're not within earshot. But if you are within earshot, you can eavesdrop, we say in English. It's not important. And you can listen to other people's conversation if you're within earshot, which means the sound is, you're close enough to understand. And in this case, Pat Riley, the teacher, the English teacher, is telling Lee, you don't have to listen to it. In fact, don't listen to it. Pay attention to your job. But keep the sound of the language, keep the English sound within earshot. Para que te acaricie el oído, como decía antes. With earshot. Yes. According to Pat. ¿Cómo? According to Pat. What? According to Pat. Patricio to Patrick. Yes, according to Pat. Según Pat. Según Patricio. According to Pat, Lee, nuestro chino, amigo chino. According to Pat, Lee would slowly get used to hearing, to get used to, acostumbrarse a, como antes de ayer, o ayer, would slowly get used to. According to Pat, Lee would slowly, gradually get used to hearing. Gerundio, acostumbrarse a oír. Would get used to hearing English sounds and become familiar with the cadence, intonation, and phonetics. La cadencia, la entonación, ¿no? Entonación. Y es que en inglés es intonación. Cadence, intonation, and phonetics. La fonética, phonetics, con CS al final. La fonética, palabra de origen griego, no latino. Griego, phonetics, la fonética. La cívica, civics. La ética, ethics. La dinámica, dynamics. La matemática, mathematics. La balística, ballistics. Hay mucho más. All right. La física, physics. O sea, en inglés tiene CS. Y dos excepciones. Hay tres, pero I remember two exceptions. La música, no decimos musics. We say music. Y la química, no es chemics. It's chemistry. So these are two exceptions. Physics, thermodynamics, ethics, ballistics, mathematics, dynamics, y esto era phonetics. Physics, hay más. But I can't think of them right now. Genetics, la genética. Genetics, estudio la genética. Genetics, and many more. Okay, so according to Pat, otra vez con el Patricio. According to Pat, Lee would slowly get used to hearing English sounds and become familiar. Y hacerse familiarizados con. Familiarizarse con is to become familiar with. Llegar a ser familiar con, literalmente. He would become familiar with the cadence, intonation, and phonetics. Okay, if Lee did this over a period of 1 year, for example, he would progress twice as fast because he'd find the new forms taught in class easier to assimilate. All right. Si Lee hiciera esto, o sea, condicional, si hiciera esto, no sabemos todavía si lo va a hacer a fondo. If Lee did this, following Pat's recommendations, if Lee did this over a period of 1 year, for example, he would progress twice as fast, 2 times faster. Pero si dice más, twice as fast, 2 veces más rápido. Twice as fast because he would find the new forms taught in class easier to assimilate. Of course, you see, he's going to class with Pat Riley, but at the same time, he's in the factory hearing English 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, all right? 320 hours in 2 months, 640 hours in 4 months. It's a lot of hours, practically 1,000 hours in 6 or 7 months, 1,000 hours of English music, English sounds. So when he goes to class and Pat, the teacher, introduces new forms and new structures and new grammar, well, it's much easier for Lee to assimilate the new structures and new forms because his ear is attuned to the language much, much more than before. All right, so according to Pat, Lee would slowly get used to hearing English sounds and become familiar with the cadence, intonation, and phonetics. If Lee did this over a period of 1 year, for example, he would progress twice as fast, 2 times faster, twice as fast, because he'd find the new forms taught in class, enseñadas en clase, las formas enseñadas en clase, because he would find, encontraría, he would find the forms The new forms taught in class, easier to assimilate. Más fáciles para asimilar. The sounds, los sonidos, the sounds would be familiar to him. Y eso me suena. Claro, 8 hours a day. Pat reminded him, no se te olvide, Lee, Pat le recordaba. Pat reminded him, ojo, don't forget, Pat reminded him that children absorb their mother tongue, lengua materna, mother tongue, ¿sí? ¿Sí? Tongue. Pat reminded him that children absorben their mother, su de ellos. Children absorb their mother tongue quickly because they are surrounded by the language 15 hours a day over several years. It's true. When a child reaches the age of 6 and begins primary school first year, the child has 20,000 hours of absorption of the mother tongue. 20,000 hours of contact with a language. Before a child begins to learn how to read and write, the child already has assimilated 20,000 hours of language. And the child doesn't have distractions. The child doesn't have a boss. The child doesn't have a mortgage, una hipoteca que pagar. The child doesn't have problems. Doesn't have a wife or a husband or children. The child is a sponge, es una esponja, for 20,000 hours of noise in the native tongue, in the mother tongue. And so children, by the time they start learning to read and write, already have 20,000 hours of exposure, exposición al idioma materno en este caso. So Pat reminded him that children absorb their mother tongue quickly because they are surrounded by it 15 hours a day over several years, a lo largo de varios años, over several years. He told Lee that he should take advantage of the 8 hours he spends every day at his work table to simulate this kind of language atmosphere. All right. Hay una rata aquí. There's an error here. There's a mistake here. I'm going to check if it's here, okay? Yes, because usually we correct these mistakes before, but I'm going to check, all right? Every day, the word expression every day. Let's take 2 weeks, let's see. 15 hours a day. He told Lee that he should take advantage of the 8 hours he spends every day. No, it's correct here. It's correct. Corregido. Every day are 2 words. I come here every day. Those are 2 words. However, it's 1 word if it's used as an adjective. Mis actividades cotidianas, my everyday activities. It's an everyday cuando se usa como adjetivo. Diarios, cotidianos, that's it, we say every day together. All right. So, let's see. He told Lee that he should, que debería aprovechar las 8 horas que pasa todos los días. He told Lee that he should take advantage of the 8 hours he spends every day at his work table, en su mesa de trabajo, at his work table, to simular this kind of language atmosphere. La misma ambiente lingüístico que un niño, que como una esponja absorbe todo el ruido lingüístico que hay a su alrededor conforme crece. Yes. All right. So he should try to simulate this kind of language atmosphere. Lee followed Pat's advice. Siguió sus consejos. Claro, en inglés no se dice advices, advice. Su consejo. singular siempre. Lee followed Pat's advice and has been keeping the audio tape on, encendido, at his work table for the past 2 weeks. He even plays the tape at home as background music, con música de fondo. He even incluso pone la cinta en casa como música de fondo. He's not listening to it, but he's hearing it. He's within earshot. He's already starting to recognize certain sounds. And more importantly, más importantemente, se dice en inglés, more importantly, he's starting to feel comfortable with the language during the class sessions. He's starting to feel comfortable with the language. All right. See you tomorrow.